Hello everyone, welcome to my review of Season 4 of The Legend of Korra. Now, I know it's been a while, because doing Yu-Gi-Oh! GX Season 2, time consuming. So with that video finally out, I can finally work on this. Unlike the other seasons, there's no major staff changes or voice actors I really had to go over, so we can really just jump into episode 1. So Korra has been resting for 3 years, so a bit of a time skip here. Asami made trains to travel between Republic City and the Oath Kingdom. Prince Wu is next in line for the title of Oath King. Prince Wu is half touch or has a big ego. Oh, the spoiled child archetype. All three combined, whatever you want to go with. Mako's Prince Wu's bodyguard, Kavera, who I'll get into a little bit after this first episode, somewhere, has been working on rebuilding the Oath Kingdom after the queen has died. We see Kai and Oppo takes down some bandits, but there's 100 more in this small town. Airbenders are spread thin, helping out for world, since Korra is still missing in action. Berlin and Varric are working with Kavera. We see Kavera mess some bandits up. Kavera threatens the bandits to join him. Wu is a polarizing figure to say the least, and got pied by Kavera, suppose. Kavera and Batal Jr., Opal's brother, which I don't think I have mentioned Season 3 review because he wasn't relevant, are getting married. The town mayor refused to join Kavera. Berlin is leaving with Kavera, causing a divide between him and Opal because, it's this town needs supplies. They're not helping unless the mayor signs an agreement, which we don't know the full details of said agreement. Again, we get to that in a second. Opal and Kai managed to get food from farms, but bandits attacked from the sky and they lost for food. The mayor signs the agreement to join Kavera. Mako is being forced to be a bodyguard for Wu after he becomes Oath King as a political jester from Republic City to the Oath Kingdom. Kavera now helps the town after the agreement was signed. Korra is fighting in an underground arena, but she feels sluggish compared to how she used to fight. This episode is fine. Now, I guess the main focus is Kavera. William. So, to get the elephant out of the room here, episode 8 is a recap episode. We will touch on that in a second. Even when that is a recap episode, I don't think they spend the most time where they should. Prince Wu being a new character, and it does tie into the theme, one of the themes of the season, which is what does it mean to be a good leader? With Kavera, Sue, and Prince Wu representing by Pillow. He also takes away time from characters you have already established by making new characters, which is something that Korra really struggles. They will make a bunch of new characters and all this stuff, and it just feels like it's trying to juggle too much for how much episodes per season it has for the storylines that they're trying to tell. And Kavera, we hear a lot about her, but we don't see, and it doesn't feel that way. So she's the Great Uniter. She has united most of the Oath Kingdom by the time we see her. Time skip, cool. I get that. But stuff like Opal is like, well, I've heard bad things about Kavera. We see that. We see that she's fighting with bandits. But Kavera sells a freight train in terms of her intentions, in my opinion. So when you have Bo Lin and Varric later on go, oh, she's crazy. It's like, no shit. How you guys even fall for this? Kavera isn't a silver-tongued devil, really. She really doesn't portray that Casanova of oh, I can see why this, how she tricked Bolin. And it just felt like it needed to be tension between Bolin and Mako later on. But, again, besides the point, drawing character dynamics, they choose to really write in this show as arguments, and then they make up. But, again, besides the point, and it's okay, cool, but we see that Kavera forces the town to sign to join the Oath Kingdom, or the Oath Empire. But we don't know how much control is given up. We do see her threatening the mayor, really, of this town, so we know, she's probably forced all towns to do the same thing, but it's hard to, get into how bad you are as a character. How much are you forcing, but not giving details. It's very vague stuff. I'm giving up, Romero's I'm giving up my power, etc., etc. But we don't really feel it. But it's also we know she's not good. It's this weird gray, not oh, well, she's doing a good thing, but maybe a little evil. It's we can't quantify real she is kind of a way, in the worst way possible, because you kind of spearing through what Korra is doing. And another issue is, we see her giving out supplies to this one town once. And, like, we see that she has supports, but we also see that she only gave supplies when she first command. Now, it would be nice to see her, why she has supports, why people like her. I don't see how you can like her as a leader. That's an issue. Again, when you try and have these in-depth, complicated issues, topics, like what makes a good leader, how do you unite people, all this stuff. Is your main villain to reflect this? There's an issue, like, you not expanding enough to really get into these topics, but I think the show really wants you to act. And I don't think it uses its time wisely, as well as episode 8 kind of being forced to be a recap episode. Again, we can get into that when we get to episode 8. Actually, honestly, Cavell reminds me of Amon in terms of, like, Amon had a topic, equality. I don't think the show divulged enough into equality, like being born with certain abilities that other people might not be born with, enough to make it feel justified, or you, like, where you'd be like, oh, I can see where Amon's coming from, he's going too far. I don't think the show did enough to do that, and I feel like Cavell is in the same boat. Well, hopefully not in the same boat as Amon, because that exploded, but you get my point I'm trying to make. She is in a similar situation. But moving on to episode 2, Korra feels broken and has PTSD from her final fight from the last season. Understandable, but that would be very traumatic for everyone. Finding a person desperate trying to find someone who really wants to kill you, not because of who you are, but because of something you were born into. And we get flashback time. Korra at first isn't sleeping or eating for 3 weeks. Katara can help Korra, but Korra needs to guide her healing. Korra is trying to learn how to walk, but that PTSD is really holding, well, I don't want to say holding her back, that doesn't feel correct wording, but like, really traumatizing her. Korra gets letters from her friends, and she feels bad, but she's still struggling when her friends are doing so well. Korra gets a pep talk by Katara to try to see to get better to the end, and she walked. Present day, a dog scared of Korra's PTSD. Flashback again, Tenzin visit, and Korra's PTSD stopped her from showing how much better she has gone. Korra has a mental block that stops her from going into the Avatar state. Korra only wore a Sami. Korra went to Republic City alone, but on her way there, she failed to stop some thugs. Korra cuts her hair and goes into the spirit world instead of Eltambo Island. Korra is trying to focus and meditate the Tree of Time, but to get the Avatar juices flowing within him, but that didn't work. Korra has been traveling the world while lying to her parents about being in Republic City. Her PTSD led her to the underground arena, where we saw her at the end of episode 1. In present day, the dog was a spirit, and it led Korra to a swamp. Korra's PTSD is being corrupt, quite literally. Afterwards, Korra meets up with Toph. I like this episode. I think exploring the mental trauma that something like Sahil would inflict on Korra is fascinating, and I think they do show the PTSD of her. It's not Sahil, it's the state of her struggling for her life that's haunting her. I love that. I think that's genius. I think that's great. Not great that she's struggling, but like a great showing of her PTSD. I guess for Spirit seeing her PTSD, or seems to be seeing her PTSD, is spirit power, which is chalk up to that. It's kind of the only thing I don't like of this, because how would anything see what's going on in Korra's mind? But I begin to see spirit energy, or spirit powers. We get to more of my feeling of how it's handled for future Korra's PTSD, but in this introduction episode of it, I think it's great. And I guess something to pen, Korra only wanting a Sami is set up for something in the future. I don't think it's built up enough. I think I wanted that to be cooked a little more open. Actually, I speak about it. Korra gets to go with a Sami in the end of the series. Again, about something that I'm not against, I'm fine with. But it's like something that I'm like, these cookies need like a 1 or 2 minutes more in the oven kind of a thing. Like, not like I need extensive mo of a Korra and a Sami to make it feel more natural. I just need like that 1 or 2 minutes more in the oven to be like, okay, I see this. And that actually describes a lot about this season. Because again, this season tries to tackle a lot. It is very ambitious with what it tries to tackle. I feel like there's multiple things going on. Bites off more of a cookie, metaphorical cookie, than it can. With that being said, we move on to episode 3. We will be made king today. Korra has been throwing people in jail for disagreeing with him. Again, we kind of see that with the bandits a little bit, with a threat, by which, instead of hearing this from Opal, we see more of twirling of a short mustache that Korra truly is a dictator. They use that phrase to describe her, but she really is a dictator. So, and honestly, really, I mean, the comparison to Hitler, besides haha dictator, is actually kind of there with the terms of, like, claiming land that you think belongs to you and buying more than you can chew. I'm not saying it's perfect one-to-one, do not get me wrong, it's not, but it's there. Also, she imprisons people for not being oathbenders, like firebenders or warbenders for being in the Oath Kingdom. It's there, again, not perfect one-to-one, but the parallels are there. Toph is gonna help Korra get better. Varric has been pardoned with public say, so him escaping and all that stuff doesn't matter. He's been pardoned, he's fine. Korra is as son as a son as a train when she told the prince when she got his room because she gets what she wants. Jeez, I wonder how foreshadowing that could be. Toph still got moves and wants Korra to move without thinking. Toph can basically see the whole world through the roots of a swamp tree. Korra refuses to give up her power to Wu. Bolin is unsure about this, but he ultimately sticks by Korra's side. Korra makes a threat to her, and H is like, hey, don't tread on me, or we will fuck you up. Varric is playing around with spirit vines. Korra tries to get Bolin on her side, and again, it worked. Bolin tries to get Mako on his side, but Bolin just snaps on Mako for disagreeing with him. Again, I feel like they have very character interactions they can truly write. It's like one character being supportive of another, or them disagreeing. You might and arguing, and then they had to make up. It just feels very basic. It's kind of like the Spider-Man song in that game, where it's like, okay, very like villain dynamic we can really write. It's like, oh, someone from Spider-Man's past or Brooklyn Spider-Man's past, it comes back and is a villain, and we have a familiar tie. And Dr. Octopus in the first game was okay to me, but it just gets worse and worse each time they try to do it. So I'm sure for Spider-Man 3, they would do it again. I'm sure of it. But it's like that. It feels like they don't know how else to do character interactions. Because the fights feel so forced at this point in Season 4. It felt forced in Season 2. Season 3 is probably the best character dynamics we had from these characters. But it feels like we have regressed slightly in that regard. But anyways, moving on. Korra still has meta poisoning in her body. Korra is very popular and will upset both Kingdom people by being a spoiled brat. But again, I want to see more of what Korra is doing for both Kingdom people. I know Wu is doing nothing, but like I want to see more what Korra is doing and how she projects herself to be a good political figure. Because we don't see that. I never see Korra being a good political figure, in my opinion. Lu is losing control because he feels like everything is being taken from him. Wu got a little wake-up call from Mako by saying, what have you done for you people? Toph says that maybe Korra wants the metal inside of her because maybe she just wants to get her again. Tenzin asks his kids to find Korra. Korra wants to use spirit divine energy for her goals. This episode's fine. Again, it's a lot of path-based stuff, unfortunately. And with Korra having the metal poison into him, I think that could have been combined really with the scene later on. Actually, don't even have the metal still in her body, honestly. I think Korra's still struggling with her PTSD, it's good enough. And the lesson she learns from getting the poison out is very similar to another lesson she learns later on. So I think like they combine those two and use this time to again flesh out some of these ideas more. So that's the only thing I really have that I haven't explained all the way. So moving on to episode 4. Genoa is trying to spiritually find Korra, and Ikki and Mio go into like different towns to look for Korra. Milo hits off with a flag gun. That's it. I'm glad we're dropping that romance at the dome and moving on with our lives. Toph is letting Korra figure out how to get the metal out of her own body. Milo threw away the food because he's fucking nuts. Ikki got kidnapped by Cavilla's man, and I love Ikki could get out of her ropes like Aang could do when the Avatar Day episode. Korra is having visions of her past fights with main villains. Milo found bad berries. Genoa and Milo realize that Ikki is missing. Cavilla is going to Zafu. Ikki realized that Korra is in the swamp just before her siblings saved her. Toph says that Korra can maybe learn a thing from her past foes and face her fears. And that's the lesson that could be applied later on and tie into something that again happens later on. Genoa and Milo doesn't believe Ikki that Korra's in the swamp, but the swamp takes him in. Korra uses the big swamp tree to reconnect to the world. The kids found Korra. Korra bends them out of her body, and Korra can go back into the Avatar state. This episode's fine. I mean, it's nice to finally kind of get a focus on Genoa, Ikki, and Milo as like a sibling trilogy. And episode 4 of the last season is kind of, for characters that have been here for a while, kind of late. But I take it. Toph being back, I mean, it's cool to see. But I feel like also too, the Korra sections of like her getting out of the metal was 100% also too for Toph to come back. And yeah, I feel like Toph isn't needed in this season at all. But I mean, Toph is fun, so I guess I take it in that regard. But with that said, moving on to episode 5. Cavilla's army's at Zafu. So this is when it's like fully maxed off Cavilla's evil, even though the max was already off. Cavilla wants to use Bolin to take over Zafu. I see that, you're close to Opal. Varric is using the spirit binds to make a new source of energy, but that failed. Cavilla wants Varric to keep going, but he wants to stop because he's suddenly guru conscious. Varric agrees to continue after being threatened. Asami sees her dad in prison to cut him off. Her dad says that Asami is the greatest thing that he ever created. Opal tries to tell Bolin what's really happening when Cavilla helps the town again. That would be great to see instead of having Opal just say it. Like, even if you just cut to it, like as she's talking about, at least a little visual, that would have been nice. Zafu refuses to join the Empire, and Cavilla says they have 24 hours to join. Of
course you realize this means war.
Bolin realizes that Opal was right. Cavilla and Sue have different ideas when it comes to rebuilding the Oath Kingdom. Sue didn't want for power, and Cavilla's like, you're weak. How dare you not want to rebuild the Oath Kingdom? Korra wants to talk things out with Cavilla. Bolin and Varric escapes Cavilla. Cavilla refuses to back down, and Korra got Korra to go talk to Sue again. Which again, Korra being wishy-washy and Cavilla only lasts in this episode in terms of like her ideals, and I wish that was explode more. Again, Cavilla's max being off is off. It's like, she's Ghost Freak ripping off her skin and shows the scale. Might be a bad example of what I mean, but like, you see the terror. But it's Cavilla at this point. She has her army line up to take a city if it don't join her. Like, I'm sorry, like, there's no, like, I'm doing the correct thing. Go talk to Sue. No. That bridge is bone down to the fucking ground at this point. While Bolin, Julie, and Varric are fighting Cavilla's forces, but ultimately got recaptured. Sami revisits her father after, speaking of Ben 10, when, for JoJo episode when Grandpa Max got injured, Ben sees, like, the kid and the grandpa playing. Same thing with Asami. She was at a park, she saw a dad and a kid play together, and she thought of her dad. So, like, she tries to make up with him. Julie betrays Varric to join Cavilla. Bolin's going to a rehabilitation camp. Again, the Hitler parallels as well. Sue take 2 of her sons, going to try to seek attack Cavilla. This episode's okay. Again, Cavilla not being fully explored and her ideals being fully explored. Again, fully wholeheartedly hates this season. And episode 5 is a perfect idea of it. And her being this Hitler, again, it doesn't help, but it's very clear that it's like, dictator, Hitler. Again, it's not a perfect 1-to-1. I'm not going to like all the nitty-gritty details comparing the two. But it's hard to not draw that comparison. And again, she's not she tries to be charismatic, but again, she's no silver-tongued devil. So, like, to have Korra be like, yeah, let me try, we talk to Sue and see if we could get this going. Because, you know, Korra has had character development. I think they're trying to show Korra's character development in terms of, like, want to talk things out and not want to go into fighting right away, which I get. It's good development on Korra's part, but this is not a good time to show that in the way that they're showing it. I think you can still show that and still not have Korra walk Cavell's shit at this point in time without being like Korra agreeing with what feels like a Hitler stand. So that doesn't really help this episode. And again, the ideas presented is great, just not executed the best. So episode 6. The sneak attack failed. Sue and her sons got captured. Korra wants to try and still work things out with Cavell. Varric got Bolin to be his assistant in the Spirit Vine testing. Cavell refuses to back down. Korra fights Cavell, and Cavell is being Korra. Varric made a Spirit Vine bomb instead of a super weapon to make Cavell forces leave. Korra goes into the Avatar state, but her PTSD causes her to lose. Opal and Genoa save Korra from being killed. Varric didn't have an off switch to his bomb, but Bolin saves Varric's life. Milo saves Korra, but others, Zafu has fallen. Jolie is gonna help Bental build the Spirit Vine super weapon. This episode's okay. Again, with Korra still dealing with her PTSD and something that happens in our episode 9. I'm gonna hop on this a little bit because again, time is the most essential thing that this season is mismatching. Very comparable to GX season 2, honestly. To hop on that, I don't expect PTSD to be like, you do this one thing and you're healed, you don't have trauma. Of course, PTSD is a very complicated thing, it's very different for everyone else. It takes a while to get over PTSD. I'm not saying it's like, baby, bobby, boo, you're healed. Of course not. But for this season, and for what it's trying to do, and the two separate issues tackling Korra's PTSD to feel very similar, it feels like a bit of a repeat. Again, we get to it later. It just doesn't feel complete. And I'm fine with her PTSD causing her to lose to Cavell. It's just, again, scrub the top stuff. But I also feel like they need Toph and to reintroduce the swamp for Spirit Vines later on. Like, it feels like they had ideas and they had the end to said ideas, but they didn't know how to get to said ideas. Moving on to episode 7. Korra and Korra are back on El Taibo Island. Bolin and Varric are lost in the forest and got trapped in a net. Korra has dinner with Asami Mako and Wu and got into a fight right away.
Is capable of? No, I didn't mean you.
And it was just unpleasant, I'm sorry. Like, they just didn't they made me regret that Team Avatar basically got together. And they're not acting like, you know, the original Team Avatar never big. Oh, they did, they have their fights. Like, it felt like a family. This feels like more of people who do not like each other coming together constantly. Wu gets kidnapped in the bathroom. Thankfully, his pants were up. Bolin and Varric are in the hands of people who escape one of Cavell's re-educational camps. Korra uses Spirit Vines to find Wu. Cavell has been plunging non-Oathbanders and pulling them to camps. Already mentioned that, but we find that in this episode. Bolin and Varric are working with the non-Oathbanders to leave the Oath Kingdom, and that didn't work so well. Varric made an EPM wave to shut down the mechs and then escape, which I actually appreciate. One thing that bugged me, like, little seasons of Supernatural, they would introduce a concept and not work right away. But, like, at least Korra has an ideal of, like, oh, NPM waves. It works here, but later we see it doesn't work later on. But, like, you see that where the logic comes in of why you would think it would work later on. It's kind of a good example is for Korra and Supernatural. Good build up, set the groundwork, and when it doesn't work, you'd shock. So, again, like, later seasons of Supernatural got bad, just introducing a MacGuffin and not working. Like, the coffin thing to trap Jack in, because they were getting trapped Dean in, because he had Mike on him, but then we never went with it. Anyways, besides the point. The point being is, it's good that we're laying the groundwork for that here. Korra found Wu and escaped the train that he was on. Behind Wu in Asami's place, Cavell is taken down the Swamp Tree for the Spirit Vines. This episode's okay. I don't have much thoughts into this. I feel like I've said everything. But episode 8, the recap episode. So, basically, we see Wu wanting to get stronger, so he's training with Mako. But, like, the reason why this is a recap episode is because Nickelodeon cut the show's budget by a cause of one episode. So instead of finding people, they landed on a recap episode instead. So we got basically 3 recaps. One is focused on the Law of Triangle. I've talked at length on how much I hate the relationships in this show and how they keep punching them and they suck at lying them. So moving on, second recap is about Korra and her villains. Nothing more to say. And we get a full recap about Berlin. I do not like Berlin, and he feels like a worse soccer. But this one is funny. It's like a YouTube poop. Now, or like a YouTube edit, because it's like funny edits, like you have like the different villains talking on the phone. They brought back the actors for this.
Out Bolin. He's way too powerful and awesome. But can we please not include...
Not include who?
And it's funny because Steve Bloom is like one of his camp escapees. So it's like, oh, we got Steve Bloom back for like an extra. That's cool, but we'll probably have him on staff because we need him to vote Amon. But it was just funny, like having Bolin's face like over Cole's giant spiritual foam too. It's like, if it made it funny. It made me laugh. It made me feel an emotion during a recap episode. That's very impressive. So it's probably like the best recap episode besides Amber Island, which was first show did. I have covered on this channel. So congratulations to Korra on that front. You made me feel something during a recap episode. But episode 9. Okay, so spirit vines attack a tow group. Korra and Korra are on the case. Korra sees Cabrera gathering spirit vines. Korra and Berlin tells the world leaders that, hey, Cabrera is building a spirit vine super weapon, but the Leos won't attack until she does. Berlin tries to make up to Opal about that failed. Lynn and Opal are getting rescued with their family. The vines attack Genoa and tells Korra that she needs help via spirit powers. The vines have been cocooning people and trapping the spirits in the spirit world. Korra tries to go into the spirit world, but that PTSD kicks in. Korra wants to see the hero to face her PTSD. Berlin failed to get back with Opal again. I mean, lying about broken legs is kind of a shit move on his part. Asami and Varric are working together to stop the super weapon. Korra sees the hero alone, and Korra is still afraid of him. Rightfully so. The hero says blaming him isn't helping Korra. The hero leads Korra into the spirit world because he doesn't like Cabrera. Korra frees the vine captives. Korra now accepts what happened to her with the hero. And Berlin joins Opal and Lynn to break the family out. This episode is good. So, this is what I mean when this section could be combined with getting the meta out of the system section of the season, is that learning to accept what happened to you and learning from your past villains, and she literally is learning from her past villain after he convinced her to do so. I feel like you could have combined these, really, because Korra was not receptive to the hero at first until the hero convinced her. So again, like, it feels like combine them and you have this big moment for Korra. I mean, it's still a big moment for her, but like, again, it feels a bit of a repeat session. But I do appreciate that he was like, I don't like dictator, so, and Kabir is a dictator, I'm gonna help you out to take her down. It's like, why on, man? Why on? I really don't care if Berlin and Opal goes, get back together. I mean, it's probably the most sound relationship out of a bunch. That's not saying much, but like, and then, yeah, that's kind of it. So, Episode 10, Toph shows up to help Berlin and the others. Soon the family had been moved to a prison near Southfield. Republic Series making flying mechs to try to fight the super weapon, trying to get spirits to help them, and getting everyone out of the city. The spirit cannon failed due to a bad palm. Berlin and Cole found their prison friends underground, but Kavira's there, and a little danger to the situation. Julie is sabotaging the spirit cannon, and Toph, I really do not need you to tell me that she's lying. It's literally all over her face that she is. Tomorrow is the day to break Sue and the others out, since the factory workers will be watching the cannon test firing. Lynn and Toph do not get along, so it's like a repeat of Lynn and Sue, just fast-tracked. The actually begins with the good old pendulum method. Cabrera knows that Julie has been fucking with Rappin, is getting used to his talking practice. Sue and Cole got caught escaping. Berlin and Opal are gonna save Julie. Now the spirits want to help Korra because you like Cabrera. But Korra makes a comparing case, like, you guys live in Republic City, you guys don't want to protect it. I mean, we want nothing to do with it, which is also fair, to be honest. Sue and Korra is trying to stop the spirit cannon. Sue versus Cabrera is just fun. Sue and Korra getting, like, back into Kono till Toph shows up to help him escape. Toph leaves the plot. She's just gone. Kavera is gonna attack Republic City in 2 weeks. I like this episode. I like a good prison break. And we actually got development on Drew Lee. A character that's just been doing the thing for 2 seasons. So it's glad to expand upon her. They should have done that way sooner with a lot of different things because, again, she's been around for 2 prior seasons. But hey, I mean, I guess it's better than nothing. And yeah, again, I really don't feel like Toph's inclusion is necessary. I feel like we could have escaped without her. And again, for her to just be like a repeat of Lin and Sue's relationship with her and Lin is just unnecessary. I hate to say that because, again, I do like Toph as a character and like her character here. It's just, it feels like we have to introduce nostalgia type thing. So moving on to episode 11. Kavera wants to land the Republic City said something because I used to be Earth Kingdom, and due to like the 100-year world, 5 ancient colonies, but like Aang, Zuko, and the Earth King came together and be like, hey, this neutral land, this Republic City, but Kavera wants that land back. Republic City knows that it's about to be attacked. Varric and Julie unite, but Julie wants to be treated as an equal, which is fair. Ru actually got people to evacuate Republic City. Tenzin's family and the Airbenders are standing up to help. The United Army comes to help. They don't really help, but they're there. Korra and Team Avatar are going to sneak attack to try to destroy the super weapon, but Kavera shows up a week early, and the weapon is attached to a giant mech. Now, I like the giant mech, just because it reminds me of the Colossus from Korra Local, and when that thing appears, instant feel. It's kind of the same thing with this, when it's like, oh, well, we expect it to be on train tracks. Nah, it has free range and roam, and can just fire giant spirit energy binds as a weapon whenever. So I do appreciate that. But one problem, Kavera doesn't get tired of like bending this by herself. I know she has like engineer staff on her side, but like, you see her doing all the movements by herself. I know it's like levers and stuff like that, but it also seems like she's like bending like the limbs are copying her movements. So for her to not be like exhausted by the time she fights Korra amazes me. Korra had missed from the spirit cannon. Kavera is at Republic City and got to destroy some chips to show that she is serious. Republic City surrenders. Korra kidnaps Batal to try and get him to help destroy the mech. Sue tries to reach Batal, but that failed. Korra promised to separate Batal and Kavera forever, and that got Batal to try plead to Kavera, hey, surrender. Kavera says, fuck love, I want Republic City, and she like tracks the radio signal, and she fires upon Korra's location, and destroys all the mechs that Asami and Varric had made. This episode's fine. Again, this is supposed to be like the shocking wake-up call for Batal, but like, I feel like, again, Kavera hasn't been this mastermind silver tongue devil that the show wants me to believe that she is. And then all I mentioned about I think the mech is a cool idea. And Kavera wanting the land based on her like want to rebuild the Earth Kingdom makes sense. This is also very similar to World War II in terms of like they letting Kavera just do whatever she wants, and then we kind of recognize that she's a problem, and then oh shit, she really is a problem when they're at your doorstep and you're really not prepared to do anything with it. Really similar. I'm sure, hey, it has to be intentional on some level. Episode 12. No one died, of course, because why? You can't. Why would you? Kavera is heading towards Korra. Asami has some prototypes of a hummingbird mechs. There's still people in the scene. Milo got the idea to blind the giant mech with paint balloons. They got window washers on that thing, but really did think of everything, which is good on them. The mech is made of platinum, one of the best Pokemon games, so it cannot be metal bent. Really do not play Diamond and Pearl, just platinum. It's a way better experience. The fact that shining Pearl and bringing Diamond is worse than platinum, shame on them. Shame. At least lava banding works. If they try for old, tie the wire around the legs and make a trick, but that failed. Varric does a big EMT wave, but that didn't affect the big mech since his feel of I'm powered. Again, I only mentioned that in passing why I like that this happened. But yes, I like building upon things that worked in the past but later it failed. Makes it feel much more like, oh shit, than just saying that it should work and then it failing. Batarsis for Mac is unstoppable, but they managed to pull over 2 emergency stop levers at the same time, should stop it.
Pull the lever, Crunk.
Asami's dad is here and says they need plasma saws equipped to the hummingbird mechs to cut a hole to get people inside the mech. Wu is using badge modes to get citizens out of the city. Korra and Korra are trying to slow down the big mech in a cool fight scene. Cabela's man caught up to the civilians, but the badge modes took them out, which again was, it's to show Wu's character growth. But, like, I feel like him getting the citizens out shows his character growth enough. I know it's, like, a minute scene, but, like, you could have used that minute elsewhere. The Alec asks Jolie to marry him, and she says yes, that feels false. I feel like there's, like, a missing gap in the relationship here to lead to this point. But hey, again, this show sucks at winning relationships. Korra freezes the mech in place so the plasma saws can cut through. Sami's dad gave up his life to cut through the mech. Korra and Korra get inside the mech. I do like this episode. Fighting a Colossus is always a fun thing when you're like 1/18th its size. I'm sure that's not accurate to how big this thing actually is, but I was one with it. But an interesting thing that this season also kind of brings up is forgiveness of people that hurt you, or like growing from the pain, like Asami with her dad, and again Korra with Sahil, which I've touched on. I like the Sahil stuff, but with Asami and her dad, need 1 or 2 minutes involved. I need one more scene of that instead of it being just like, again, I feel like a piece is missing. A lot of pieces are missing from different things from the season. It drives me mad. But that is one of the things I'm like, you need like 1 or 2 scenes to fully explore this a bit more, to make it feel more solid. Okay, so final episode. Episode 14. Sue and Lin are going to try and stop the super weapon, but Lin and Mako are trying to stop the mech, and Korra's after Kavira. A bunch of fun fights happen. Sue destroys the weapon. Kavira whips the weapon off, throwing Sue and Lin out of the mech. Korra and Kavira start the fight, which again, I don't buy that she isn't like totally exhausted by moving this mech at this point, but again, whatever. But Lin and Mako couldn't use the levels to shut down the mech. Mako's using a lightning bending to make the vines go boom boom and passes out from the feedback. Korra and Kavira are having a more equal fight this time. Berlin saves Mako. Korra saves Kavira from the mech wrecking, but Kavira is running away. Kavira finds her super weapon and has worse aim than a stone trooper when she misses Korra point blank range. Kavira loses control of her weapon, but Korra saves her life. The explosion makes a new spirit gate, and that teleports Korra and Kavira into the spirit world. Kavira wanted to make the Earth Kingdom a place where no one feels vulnerable because she was an orphan. Again, this is something where it's just like briefly mentioned. I forgot when it was mentioned. And it's just like something that we need to touch on. Again, I know episode 8 was supposedly, I couldn't find it again, but supposedly supposed to go into Kavira's backstory. But again, I don't feel like the season used this time wisely as is, while episode 8 is a recap episode or not. While we can't blame Nickelodeon being shady, because God, the word shady to this show was not Butch, let's not lie about that, because they did this show dirty, was quality or not, or no matter your opinion of it. This show also didn't manage its time correctly. Kavira surrenders because Korra saved her life. We cut to Varric and Jolie's Wang. Wu is stepping down as king and getting rid of a monarchy. We saw the dangers of a monarchy, and for last season, and arguably with Avatar: The Last Airbender itself. But, he goes oh, I'm doing a republic, voting for Leos and they're representing them. But, to say that spell without diving into more of, Kavira's wrong, because, again, I feel like they didn't do enough of that, fully exploring that. But, to be oh, Republic City does this, let's copy it without diving into what Republic City does. Because we've seen Republic City has corrupt Leos, and Leos that don't do the best things sometimes, etc, etc, etc. So, to do that, it's kind of I feel like you're not exploring these topics, but you want to talk about them. Again, more time involved in. Korra's now hopeful and wants to learn more, and it's definitely grown since the beginning of the series. Again, likable character. She was a likable character in Season 3, while still having the traits that she did in Season 1 and Season 2. Season 2 made her unbearable. Season 1, she was fine. Some tweaks needed to be made, but like, she was fine. So I definitely like Korra's end and lean to her end. It's just the first 2 scenes was a little bit rough for her. Season 2 especially was rough for her. Korra and Sami go on a journey together into the spirit world, and now on Island. Again, that's something I wish had more time to it, and this episode's okay. So overall, I would give the season 4 of Legend of Korra a 7 out of 10. Again, if I can explain this season in one sentence, it's need more time for his ideas, maybe cut some things, and really focus on the ideas that you really wanted to talk about instead of just kind of scattershotting them. It really bogged down the season, but this season had great action scenes, great ideas. Again, execution was lacking. So yeah, I feel like a 7 out of 10 is perfect for this season. So I'd like to thank you all for coming out. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you dislike the video, give it a thumbs down. And hit that subscribe button if you want to see more for us content in the future. And I will see you all next time. Bye.